Hi guys, good morning and welcome to the lesson number 9 dedicated to the members of the group, the English Academy. I hope that you are having a great week and that you are ready to spend a fantastic weekend. So as usual, I would like to wait for a couple of minutes you to join, hoping that you have the time to join this live lesson, but I remind you that in case you cannot be able to assist this live lesson, the replay will always be at your disposal. So I see that some people is starting to come, so good morning everyone. Can you please, as usual, give me a feedback if everything is okay with the audio and you can regularly see my screen? Good morning, Patrizia, and welcome. Good morning. So I wait for your feedback as far as the audio so that I can start with the lesson of this morning that, as you can see from the title of my slide, is about how to improve your reading skills in English. So good morning, everyone. Good morning, Vincenzo. Good morning, Berardo. Good morning, Nadia. Thank you, Nadia, for your feedback. So I am very pleased to see that there is a great group that is always present at my live lesson. So I really appreciate your effort of waking up in the morning and go on this group and attend a live lesson in English. So I do appreciate your effort. And I take the occasion to invite all the other people to do the same as Berardo, Nadia, Laura, Elisa, Vincenzo, Patrizia, Ivan, and I hope that I am not forgetting anyone, Stefania, that are always present. So well done, guys. You deserve a merit, of course. Okay, guys, so as I was telling you, today, the topic of this lesson will be how to improve your reading skills. So, in order to do this, we will read together an article. We will go through an article together. We will practice our pronunciation, and at the same time, I will explain to you the meaning of peculiar expressions that I have underlined for you. Then at the end, there will be a surprise. So I do encourage you to stay, to keep up to the end of this lesson. So as usual, I would like to spend a couple of seconds to welcome the new members of this group, and I encourage everyone that is a new member to write a couple of lines to introduce her or himself. So I think it would be great if we have the chance to get know each other better. Okay, in the meantime, I also say good morning to Ornella and Katia. Good morning, girls. Okay, so let's start. The topic that I have picked up for you today is tips for getting along with co-workers. Co-workers is a synonym of colleagues, so the people you are working with at work. Whereas the expression get along with, to get along with, means to have a good relationship with. So, in other words, this title means suggestions in order to have a good relationship with your colleagues, with your co-workers. I hope that the title and so the topic of today's lesson through this reading comprehension is clear. Tips means suggestions, advice. In Italian we could translate the word tips with consigli. And remember that this word tip in the United States of America is also used to indicate mance. So keep in mind that this word has two different meanings. So let's start reading. You will spend more time with your co-workers every day than you might with your friends or family. So it's very important that you get along with them. Those 8 hours you spend with them every day could seem like an eternity if you don't. So, in this slide, what I would like you to keep in mind is the expression to get along with. That means to have a good relationship with. And the word co-worker, that is a synonym of colleague. Is the sense of this slide clear for everyone? So I read twice. You will spend more time with your co-workers every day than you might with your friends or family. So it's very important that you get along with them. Those 8 hours you spend with them every day could spend like an eternity if you don't. So I read it twice so that you have the chance to take notes of the pronunciation in case you need it. Okay, let's go on with our text. So now we will see together some steps for getting along with co-workers. So some procedures, we can say, some little steps in order to have a good relationship with your colleagues. The first step you want to take is to not discuss religious or political beliefs with your co-workers. The office is a place for business, and it isn't the place for discussing very personal topics that could cause debates or even arguments. Your co-workers also don't want to be pressured into believing what you do. Sorry, there is a typo here. It should be your. Sorry, I didn't notice it. Here it should be your. Okay, words that we should focus on in this slide. First of all, the verb to discuss. To discuss in English has a positive meaning. In Italian, if we use the verb discutere, we are meaning something negative. So if you have, if in Italian you say ho avuto una discussione con Paolo, it has a negative sense. Whereas in English, the verb to discuss is a positive verb. I mean, it means that you have just talked about something with someone. So discuss, remember, keep in mind, is a verb with a positive meaning, as well as the word that comes from this verb, that is the word discussion. Discussion is just the time that you have dedicated about talking to somebody regarding something. So the verb discuss. And then remember that the verb discuss is transitive. In fact, after the verb discuss, you have not to put any preposition. Beliefs is the word coming from the verb to believe, and it means, in this case, it is plural, credenze. So to believe, credere, belief, credenza. Then we have involved the word arguments. Differently from discussion, argument has, of course, a negative meaning. In fact, argument is similar to our discussione. So it means that you have a fight with somebody else. The word argument comes from the verb to argue. That means our Italian discutere. So keep in mind the difference between to discuss and discussion, that in English have a positive meaning, and the words verb to argue and argument that in English have a negative meaning. Is that clear? Can you give me a feedback, please? Okay, then we have the expression to be pressured into plus the verb in the ing form. I remind you that every time that we have to put a verb after a preposition, the verb has to be put in the gerund, so in the ing form. So the expression to be pressured into plus ing means essere messi sotto pressione nel fare qualcosa. So I am pressured into working 12 hours a day. sono costretto, qualcuno mi fa pressione affinché io lavori 12 ore al giorno. So keep in mind this expression, to be pressured into plus ing. So I read back this text a little bit faster so that you can keep in mind the pronunciation. Steps for getting along with co-workers. The first step you want to take is to not discuss religious or political beliefs with your co-workers. The office is a place for business, and it isn't a place for discussing very personal topics that could cause debates or even arguments. Your co-workers also don't want to be pressured into believing what you do. Yes, Luca, the differentiation between discuss and discussion and argument is, of course, an example of a misleading word. Very good, perfect. Let's go on. Another step for getting along with co-workers. Everyone is entitled to their own beliefs and shouldn't have to worry about them at work. This is the same for personal information. Be careful what you tell your co-workers, as it may spread around the office. Your personal information is exactly that, your personal information. There is no need for you to share it with your colleagues. So here, in this slide, what I put in bold, ho messo in grassetto, is, first of all, the expression to be entitled to. That means to have the right to do something, avere il diritto di. So to be entitled to means avere il diritto di. Then we have the expression to worry about. To worry about means preoccuparsi di. And what I want to underline in here is the fact that the verb to worry is followed by the preposition about. Then we have the expression to spread around. Spread means diffondersi. So to spread around means diffondersi in giro. Around is the preposition that we use in this case, to spread around, diffondersi, spargersi. The verb to share means condividere. Of course, it is a very it is a verb that is widely used now because of social media. So share means condividere, and today we are sharing every kind of moment of our life thanks to Facebook and all the other social media that we use. And then we have the word colleague. Colleague, as I told you before, is a synonym of co-worker, collega. Carmina Di Piero, it is writing, it is not clear for me. Okay, so what isn't clear, Carmina? I think the differentiation between discuss and argue. So I just repeat it for you. To discuss means discutere, but it has a positive meaning. So it means chiacchierare, discorrere in English. Whereas to argue means litigare, discutere in senso negativo. So this is the main difference. Discuss, discorrere, argue, litigare, discutere in senso negativo. So I hope that now the differentiation between these two words is clear. So let me know. Do not hesitate to communicate if it isn't. Okay, so I read it again for you. Everyone is entitled to their own beliefs and shouldn't have to worry about them at work. This is the same for personal information. Be careful what you tell your co-workers, as it may spread around the office. Your personal information is exactly that, your personal information. There is no need for you to share it with your colleagues. Remember that information is uncountable, so this is the reason why I wrote to share it, not them. Information is always singular. Other tips for getting along with your co-workers. So other suggestions. Another thing your co-workers shouldn't have to worry about is someone stealing food from the office fridge. It is a place to store everyone's food. It isn't your personal supermarket. This rule applies to the supply room as well. The stationery is company property. It isn't your personal office supply superstore. So let's see the words that I wanted you to focus in here. So here the verb to steal. Steal means rubare, steal. And why did I put stealing? instead of an infinitive, for example. Let's see who knows this. Let's see who listened carefully to what I explained before. I wrote, have to worry about is someone stealing. So after about, I put stealing. Why? Who is able to give me a reply about it? Let me see if somebody's showing the fact that he or she was very attentive in the previous explanation. Did you understand my question? The question was, why is stealing in the gerund form? Nobody? Do you need help? Nadia wrote steal. So the fact that here I put stealing in the gerund form is because the verb comes after the preposition about. As I told you before, every time that we put a verb after a preposition, this verb has to be put in the gerund. Of course, it has nothing to do if the preposition is to. After to, we always put the basic form, to plus the basic form, and it creates the infinitive. But after any other kind of preposition, we put the ing form. So worry about stealing, worry about complaining, worry about not working, and whatever. So after a preposition, we put the verb in the ing form. So is it clear now? So please let me know this because it is very important. So steal, as I told you before, means rubare. Then we have the verb to store. Store, we saw the word store last time in the last lesson. We saw store as a synonym of shop. Today we see store intended as a verb. So store means, in this case, accantonare, immagazzinare. So Maria said so and so. So Maria, is very, very easy what I told you before. After a preposition, if you have to put a verb after a preposition, this verb has to go in the gerund form, in the ing form. Se mettiamo un verbo dopo una preposizione, a meno che questa preposizione non sia la preposizione to, che ovviamente richiede un verbo in forma base, dopo la preposizione metteremo un verbo sempre all'infinito, proprio come vediamo qui. To worry about stealing. A preoccuparsi che si rubi, che qualcuno rubi. In italiano metteremo un congiuntivo, mentre in inglese è semplicemente un gerundio. Patrizia, I have just repeated this. So, after a preposition, we put a verb in the ing form. Okay. Let me know if now that I have explained in Italian, the explanation is clearer. So then we have the word rule. Rule means regola. Okay, very good. Thank you, girls. Rule, I told you, means regola. This rule applies to. Questa regola vale anche per. Valere per, in this case, it is written with the expression apply to. This rule applies to. Questa regola vale per. So keep this expression in mind. Applies to the supply room. Supply room is the room where we put the stationery. Stationery in Italian means cancelleria. So the supply room is la stanza cancelleria, la stanza dove si mette, dove si immagazzina tutta la cancelleria. So remember, cancelleria in English is stationery, and the stationery is stored, viene immagazzinata, viene conservata in the supply room. So I read it back. Your co-workers shouldn't have to worry about is someone stealing food from the office fridge. It is a place to store everyone's food. It isn't your personal supermarket. This rule applies to the supply room as well. The stationery is company property. It isn't your personal office supply superstore. Okay, let's go on. We are going to the end. We are close to the end. Other tips for getting along with coworkers. Next, don't gloat to your coworkers. If your boss gives just you a compliment, keep it to yourself. Your fellow coworkers don't want to hear how great a job you did. If your boss wanted them to hear the compliment, he or she would have said it in front of them. Everyone in the office loves a team player. Offer coworkers help if they are facing a tight deadline or if they are having trouble with a project. So here we have many expressions that I want you to focus. First of all, the expression to gloat. To gloat to means to brag or to boast, and it means in Italian vantarsi. So to gloat to means vantarsi, vantarsi con. Don't gloat to your coworkers, non vantarti con I tuoi colleghi. So remember that a synonym of to gloat to is to brag or to boast. Brag or boast. They are synonyms of the verb to gloat. Brag or boast. Then we have the expression to give a compliment, to give somebody a compliment. Fare un complimento a qualcuno, in English it is to give somebody a compliment. So, if I have to say, le faccio i complimenti a Sara, a una terza persona, I give her a compliment. Le faccio i complimenti. Gli faccio i complimenti, I give him a compliment, and so on. Fellow co-workers is just a synonym of the expression colleague, so it is the same. Coloro che lavorano con te, I tuoi colleghi. Team player. A team player is a person who is able to work in a team. È un giocatore di squadra, una persona che è in grado di lavorare in team. To face a tight deadline means fronteggiare, dover gestire una scadenza stretta, imminente. To face a tight deadline, fronteggiare una scadenza imminente, dover gestire una scadenza imminente. Have a trouble means avere dei problemi. So these are the main expressions that I want you to keep in mind. And the most interesting one is, of course, to gloat. Gloat. So I read it for you. Next, don't gloat to your coworkers. If your boss gives just you a compliment, keep it to yourself. Your fellow coworkers don't want to hear how great a job you did. If your boss wanted them to hear the compliment, he or she would have said it in front of them. Everyone in the office loves a team player. Offer coworkers help if they are facing a tight deadline or if they are having trouble with a project. Keep this expression in mind and, of course, write them down in case you didn't know. So other tips for getting along with coworkers. Your workplace can sometimes be a lot like high school with gossip. Do your best to stay away from it and make sure not to spread any rumors about any of your coworkers. You want your coworkers to be able to trust you. If they think you will tell everybody everything, you will quickly find yourself all alone. And of course, it is something that can happen very frequently at offices. So here, expressions that I want you to keep in mind is to stay away from, stare alla larga da, to stay away from, stare alla larga da. To spread, as we saw it before, spread around, we saw the expression spread around. Spread means diffondere.
Se ti è piaciuto l'estratto di questa lezione, iscriviti al canale, attiva le notifiche, ma soprattutto, per saperne di più, clicca sul link in descrizione. Ci vediamo dall'altra parte!